What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the second episode of Primetime Draft Talk. It's, of course, me and Mason back again. Today we're going to be talking about quarterbacks. No need for a long-ass intro or a giant love story for Taylor Swift to write about us. You guys are here for some draft content, and we're just going to be boring, basic, and then be rocking with, of course, the quarterbacks in this class. And, we're just going to share our screen really quickly here. And Mason and I, you have a generally positive and similar opinion on these guys. Like, wouldn't you say like you and I have like the same ideas when it comes
Besides the 8 through 10 range, we pretty much have the same board. Exactly.
It's pretty much just the 10 spot.
Yeah.
Or there's only one guy who we actually differ in our top 10, which, by the way, I have at 11. But for you guys who are new, hit the comment button, subscribe, like, do all that crap. PTSD puts out stuff all the time, and we're just going to be rocking this every single week. So of course, come every Saturday for us, which should be Sunday, but our good old boy MJ is stubborn and doesn't want us to be on football day, but we're on college football day, and that's perfectly fine because we're talking about college prospects, right? So
Correct.
We're on college day. And we're just going to rock through the list. Of course, kind of boring because we've already spoiled the top five, which, of course, we all know who the damn top five are. It's just the order at which we have it. Exactly. So we're going to go back and forth on talking about these guys just because, obviously, it's going to be a shorter video for you guys. We're not going to have like a 30-minute long one going over our giant boards. We want to do different positions every single week. Maybe next week we might even do weapons just because it will be able to talk about some stuff. Maybe not wide receivers, though. I don't know. Wide receiver seems a little bit out of the question because there's a lot of good ones in this class.
There's so many good ones.
Yeah. So running backs and tight ends that aren't like as good this year, I think maybe we can do that together. So I think that'd be a good topic for the next coming weeks. But you guys are here for quarterbacks. So let's rock into the quarterback range. Starting off with this is the very most unpopular opinion in the draft, Trevor Lawrence at number one.
I think it's Zach.
I don't need to click on him, but yeah. Trevor Lawrence, 6'6", 210 at his weigh-in at a pro day because he hasn't been able to lift because of his shoulder, but he will be back to 220, 225 in the NFL. He is a little bit lanky. I'm not going to lie. If you look at him, he has actually had a couple injuries through his career at Clemson, but I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue, especially if they tell him like, yo, bro, slide. Like if he actually slides, then he'll be perfectly fine. He just takes some hits when he shouldn't. And it's okay. You can always like you put your life on the line for your team until you're in the NFL and you're making millions. That's when you should probably protect your body.
And I don't think Urban Meyer would appreciate it if he just blows out a knee in the first game. So
exactly. So Trevor Lawrence, I bounce back on this, Mason. I don't think he does anything mind-bogglingly amazingly. He just does everything really freaking well.
Yeah. There's no true weakness to his game. If you really want to nitpick, you can, but to me it's pretty obvious that Lawrence is the number one guy. There's a lot of talk about Zack Wilson creeping up to the number one spot, but for me it's kind of close, but not really that close.
I do agree. You and I, along with Marcus, that franchise guy, definitely do have like that same opinion where we actually think Zack Wilson is closer to Trevor Lawrence than Justin Fields is to him. But of course, Trevor Lawrence, his only real issue is his staring problem. Like I think that's his only real issue, and he doesn't throw it that much anticipation. With that said, does he really need to? He has the best arm, arguably, with like really good ball placement in the full realm of football. I think Zack Wilson's a little bit better in that remark, but we'll talk about that if it's in a clean pocket. But you have any other final words on Trevor Lawrence? I think everybody knows.
Not really. For me, it's a lot easier to talk about the lower level type prospects because the top rated prospects, there's nothing really to say because he does everything so well.
Exactly. So next we got Zack Wilson on the board. Again, we just talked about Zack Wilson being closer to T-Law than being closer to Justin Fields. And I'm pretty sure that people are starting to garner that opinion ever since they actually started watching him and like actually like not getting off their like Big Ten high horse bias. As an Ohio State fan, I had Zack Wilson way above Justin Fields. Like, yes.
There's actually still a lot of ongoing debate between this because
I know
a lot of the guys like I see, I'm going to throw out some names here. I don't know exactly who, but I can throw out some names like Hunter Thompson, Josh Berg, who we all follow on Twitter. Some of them have Fields over Wilson. Some actually say that Wilson is not even the third highest quarterback in the class. So
I've heard. I mean, everybody, there's always going to be those opinions out there. By the way, I unfollowed Josh Berg because that guy unfollowed me. But of course, I still see him from all the crap that you guys like. So still see his opinion on there. But obviously, people who like Justin Fields, if you guys want to check out my channel, the Hail Mary podcast, I did actually put up more of an infographic version of this because I wanted to show everybody what I actually felt with their impact grades and everything else. I think that Justin Fields is significantly worse than Zack Wilson. We'll talk about him in a second, but has the highest upside in the class, given his physical talents. I think you disagree on that one, but I think given his physical talent, I think we could probably put him there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to make a note of the fact that I was the one who did our scouting report on Zack Wilson, and originally you had Fields over Wilson.
That's true. And then I watched Zack Wilson's every throw, and then same thing.
I think there's guys in this class that you just keep saying wow in the draft class when you watch film about it. That was me with Zack Wilson. Like I sat here with my dad, just watched highlight tapes, film with him. So, and he's even the same way with Zack Wilson.
Oh yeah. No, my dad actually watched it as well. He was the one who actually said Patrick Mahomes is by far the best quarterback in his respective class. And then like my dad used to be a quarterback and a quarterback's coach, but Zack Wilson, obviously number 2. He played behind a really good offensive line, had basically no pressure, but you see his weapons far significantly worse. He had a really good run game though. That's something that we should know. He does have a really good run game with Katoa and then Ellinger. So what were you going to say, something?
I was going to mention Dax Milne.
Dax Milne, no, he's definitely talented, but it's not the same level as
it's not
Olave, Wilson. Justin Ross, Amari Rogers. So I think that having less weapons in terms of like Pau, I'm forgetting the other guy's name, of course, Dax Milne, and then he's made them look a lot better. That's what I'll put. Like Dax Milne definitely has shown some good talent there, but that's pretty much it. You have one good wide receiver and a good run game. Trevor Lawrence obviously uplifts the players around him. Otherwise, Clemson would just be a mediocre team. We've seen them throughout history, besides when they have Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
They've just been subpar. But, I mean, these guys have uplifted their teams to new levels, unlike the next guy, which is Justin Fields. Justin Fields is the boomer bust prospect of the draft, in my opinion. I think that Zack Wilson has enough traits to where he can work in enough schemes. He has the craziness with him to where he can like develop plays on his own. Like Zack Wilson definitely can be a boomer, but everybody can be a boomer bust prospect. But I think Justin Fields is the most, I'm going to be complete crap or else I'm going to be amazing. Because we saw the Clemson game. You saw that. It's like, that's unreal what he did. That's probably why some people have him at 2.
That throw to Olave just deep down the side, just right down the middle of the field that was one of the best throws I've seen so far of anyone. So
yeah, I mean, like Zack Wilson did some weird thing where he ran to one side of the field and somebody was doing a corner they're doing a post and he flagged him to the other corner,
on the opposite side of the field.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, it was just special what Zack Wilson could do. But Justin Fields, that's why I say he has the most arm power and throw power if he gets his feet under him. Might not be as consistent with that power, but man, you could see that thing fly, and it's amazing. If he gets his progressions down, and he slows down the game a little bit and doesn't do that stupid little spin move. People say he's good at his running. Like, he does this one slow ass spin move every single time. So, I mean, like if he fixes that up, he definitely could be an amazing option. People are saying at 4, they can go that. People say Trey Lance should go at 4 are absolutely disgusting. I don't like Mr. Marino. I don't remember his actual first name. Huh?
Joe Marino.
He has like Trey Lance always going like to the Falcons. I'm just like, absolutely not. When you have the talent like this, Justin Fields, you can't let it go.
I do want to say that of any of the teams in the top 10 that Fields should go to, it's always Atlanta. You just have, for anyone to work through their progressions, you would like to go to Arthur Smith, who turned around Ryan Tannehill. So,
and even with like Zack Wilson, who's already good at changing progressions. Trevor Lawrence, who's good enough. It's like you can never go wrong with having a mentor like Matt Ryan, but also having Arthur Smith there. It's a dream destination for a young quarterback.
And Atlanta has all the weapons in the world too. You have, besides that running back, which they can get one in the second and third round anyways this year. So
Exactly. Next, we'll talk about Trey Lance. I originally had Mac Jones above Trey Lance, but the only reason Trey Lance is honestly here is because we all know what he could be. Would you agree with that? Like, it's
Yeah,
all what he could be.
I wanted to make a little note before we got into these next two, but he didn't come out this year, but if he was coming out this year, Desmond Ridder would be right here for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I was on the Desmond Ridder hate train, and I was like, dude, this guy's a 4th round pick, and I just started watching him. I was like, whoa, wait a second, let's hold it up for a second here. Good ball placement. He looks slow when he runs, but he just blows past people. It's really weird. He has some long ass legs, and he has a really good processor. He could actually process the field really well. So, as a person who sees him destroy my SMU Mustangs every year, it's like I have a legit fear of this guy, and I think that he'd be a really good option if, like in the 2nd round, the Falcons wanted to move up to the end of the 1st and pick him up. That'd be a brilliant idea for me. But yeah, I mean, you want to finish off with some Desmond Ridder talk? I know you love him.
It was an early 2nd round prospect for me if he would have came out, which is right around the same range as a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields, even a little bit below Fields. So it was really close for him to even be my 3rd quarterback.
Really?
Like Wilson, it's just you watch so many plays of Desmond Ridder, you just go, wow. I know one of my buddies that I've known for almost a decade now that just recently started writing for us, Jack. He makes fun of me for liking Desmond Ridder because he thinks he's too old and everything, and he can't play against good competition and yada yada yada. But I don't know. I really like what I saw from Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, I mean, he almost beat Georgia. Georgia had to kick like a last-second field goal. That's pretty good damn competition, man. That's where Azeez Ojulari went off too. But we'll talk about Trey Lance right now. Again, you agreed on this. We're only putting him here because of who he could be. And everybody throws out the name Josh Allen. Every single scout that I've talked to, including NFL, like real NFL scouts, say he is not as good as Josh Allen coming out.
No.
But number 2, Josh Allen, if we don't all remember, we were like, dude, he wasn't nearly close to the best quarterback in his class before he had his mechanics changed. Like, people were saying, dude, this guy doesn't even throw the ball down the field. Like, this guy is mediocre. Like, he might not even be there in a couple of years. But he changed up his mechanics. And Aaron Rodgers said this on the Pat McAfee show. He said, dude, you could try to throw a ball 10,000 times one way. You'll still revert to the way you're comfortable.
Yeah.
It's insane, the fact that Josh Allen did that. And it's amazing to believe Trey Lance could do that. But I seriously doubt it. But we can't deny that he can't do it.
So for me, my comp was sort of Josh Allen. I'm not one to do a comp, as you know. I've only put a few comps because if I don't see one fully, then I don't put it down.
Yeah.
For me, it was the first thing you notice about Josh Allen is his arm strength. Going into Trey Lance's film, I was told that he had great arm strength, and I didn't really see it.
Really?
Yeah, I think I put 7.5, 7.75 for arm strength, and my skill's a lot higher than yours. So.
Yeah. You know, I thought he had really good arm strength. That's weird because I watched every throw that he's done. Like I was like,
you watched it twice or 3 times because you got ridiculed on Twitter for it.
Yeah, 3 times. I watched him 3 times. Watched every throw twice, but I watched him 3 times over. And I thought his arm strength was amazing. The problem is he just can't even control it.
Yeah.
It's like, what good is a great arm if you can't use it? It's like slinging Sam Ellinger that we're going to talk about later. He's so hit or miss. I've been watching Samuel Cosme, and like, I've just been watching balls be perfect or like 10 yards away. And I feel the same way about Trey Lance. You see some balls that are like, not many people can make those throws, but he makes it one play a game, which is, you know, it's similar to Carson Wentz. Think about the idea of, I'm not saying he's like Carson Wentz, but the idea that you make one good throw a game. So what I mean by Trey Lance acting like Carson Wentz is that Carson Wentz would make one brilliant throw a game. Like, there would just be some plays where it's just like, there would just be one play a game where it's like, whoa, not many people could make that throw. I feel a lot similar to Trey Lance in that aspect where it's just like, he is very erratic with the ball. I'm talking about like more recent Carson Wentz, who will still throw one great ball a game, but he'll just be really spotty with a lot of things. Panic. I don't think he panics too much. He has pretty solid poise, but he does overthrow the ball quite a bit. Like, I see the guys having to go up like this to catch the ball. That's a little bit scary to me. That's why I say, like, when you're saying he doesn't have good arm strength, I think he has too great of arm strength. And then when he tries to tame it, then that's when the balls drop. Like, that's his problem. He doesn't know how to control it. That's just kind of scary to me.
There was a lot of cases where he would just sling it and go right to the defender who didn't expect it to be there, and you just drop it. So, I mean, you mentioned Carson Wentz, but is Wentz's year this year a product of Wentz, or is it a product of the incompetency of the Eagles this year and currently?
Well, we'll see about that. Well, I mean, the fact they got sacked 50 times doesn't help either.
Yeah.
But like the idea that it's pretty much like that Wentz idea of having that one great ball a game mixed with Tua Tagovailoa's interception luckiness, where like they should have had like 30 interceptions on the year and just got like 6. So that's Trey Lance in a nutshell. He has great legs, though. I mean, to be honest, he has some great legs. But one knee injury, that's why I'm so scared of these like mobile passers. Like one knee injury, it could be over. Look at RG3.
Yeah, RG3, you could talk about Cam Newton the same way.
Cam Newton. Like,
well, that's with his shoulder, but kind of similar. They kind of
jimmed him down.
Foot. There's a lot more.
Yeah. So obviously those guys are they're so brittle. It's scary to me. Look at Lamar Jackson. You think that with his inaccurate arm, if he gets one knee injury and he can't run the same, like he's going to be worth the money they're about to pay him? No, it's absolutely not. So that's why I'm a little bit scared. But Mac Jones, I put him here at number 5 strictly because I switched him in Trey, A, because of the potential, but B, because this may seem a little bit irrelevant to you because it's been 4 years now, but he had a DUI case. He was like back 4 years ago in 2017 and got into a car crash. Nobody was injured and he got caught with a fake ID, but it's something that does worry me because I know people who have been like killed by people driving under the influence. And it's a big thing for me because when you have money, when you're drinking out with the boys, these character concerns don't go away. You might get scared, but they don't always go away. So it does make me a little bit nervous as like they say Mac is such a great guy, but like Saban was like going off on him in his freshman year. It's like, yeah, he's just a kid. I get that. That's why he's not being dropped down like to like the 3rd round for me. He's late. He's like an early 2nd for me, but still, I think that he has enough talent. I'm going to let you talk a little bit about him, but that's just like why I really dropped him.
I recently rewatched Mac Jones. I had him originally below even Kyle Trask, who we'll get to next, as a kind of 3rd round guy. This was midway through like early December. I rewatched him a little earlier this week, and I saw some of the things that, well, some people like to put him in the top 10. I'm not there at all.
Yeah.
Depending on the right scheme, obviously, like a lot of people have him going to New England because of the Saban connection with Belichick, which is perfect if New England gets any sort of competent weapons.
Yeah.
For me, you were talking about the DUI. I kind of find it similar to what Baker Mayfield had to go through.
Yeah.
There was a video of him trying to just run away from police. Obviously, that kind of came into question, and Baker owned up to it. And
yeah,
I was a big Baker guy coming out. I have his undraftable shirt and everything. But obviously, I think Baker was a much better quarterback than Mac Jones is. They were actually, if I am correct, around the same age coming out because they both were in the Senior Bowl. But I think with Mac Jones, you kind of have to be in the perfect scheme. Yeah. We go from Trey Lance, who is super mobile, to Jones, he has some aspects of the game where he can be mobile and he's fine, but you aren't going to take him above any of the top 4 guys in terms of mobility.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Mac Jones isn't like a stationary target like a Phillip Rivers, but to be fair, we've seen him on the move, and I mean, the dude got injured like twice. He got injured during the Senior Bowl, and he got injured during the championship game when he was on the move. Like the dude couldn't even do a slide. It shows he doesn't run very often and isn't used to that. So I would definitely not put him as a more mobile Tom Brady. It's like pause. Like Tom Brady's he was an amazing guy coming into the league. He definitely worked his ass off to get to where he is. So saying that somebody's coming in like a Tom Brady, it's like Tom Brady is more of a mentality than an actual player. And that's why he's the way he is.
Here's a question. Well, I want to get into one thing before I ask you the question. So I'm not an ESPN guy. I'm an NFL Network guy. I love Mike Mayock, even though he's kind of done not so great in his tenure as the GM of the Raiders. But so now it's turned into Daniel Jeremiah. And so we're recording this on Thursday. This will be put up on Saturday or Sunday, whichever. So Jeremiah was actually doing some film study on Mac Jones, and he was actually showing some clips of where he was mobile.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of interesting to me because I hadn't really dived too deep into that because I didn't really think about it. But people say he's a statue in the pocket when he's really not.
Yeah.
So you could kind of say he like
Not very good with his
no.
mobility, but he's not a statue. You're right.
The question I want to get into is this is kind of a highly debated topic of who is better coming out, Tua or Mac Jones?
Tua, hands down.
Okay. And I was not a big Tua guy either, and I still agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa, he just did things that were special. His guys didn't have that much separation compared to the way Devontae Smith just developed into a super weapon. When you have so many targets around you, it sounds great, right? Like when you have those 4 first-round targets, it sounds amazing. But sometimes it actually might cluster your head where like, who the hell do I pass to? Like I have just all these guys who can be like great weapons. It's like sometimes it actually might be a little too much.
Kind of similar to what I want to bring up Baker again here with the whole Odell situation going on right now. Like, look at how Baker's playing without Odell compared to when Odell is playing.
Yep, definitely. Like when you have a guy like Judy that you're supposed to be feeding all the time, when you have also Devontae Smith there, Jalen Waddle, it's a lot easier to pass to Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle because you're always looking at them and they're always going to be open versus when you have to look Jalen Waddle, Jerry Judy, Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs, like it gets Irv Smith sometimes too. It's like, it gets a lot, man. It's a lot. So like, obviously I think Mac Jones had a little bit more simplified. And I think that with the way that Devontae Smith took his step up, it's like when people say Mac Jones was better, it's like, no. I think people are going to be surprised when Tua gets an actual offensive line. He's actually going to come back. I think he's going to come back and do a lot better.
I mean, they really only have to draft one guy to fix their offensive line.
I think they should replace Ted Karras in the second, but that's okay. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think they'll be perfectly fine as long as they get Sewell at 3. Next, we'll talk about Kyle Trask right now, just for the sake of time, because we could talk for days about how Mac Jones is both like better and worse than what everybody thinks. Like obviously more mobile, but then people think he's a great passer, but like also it's easier. There's a lot of stuff that we can dig into Mac Jones. We'll talk about him as like some of the most overrated players. We'll probably do sleepers as well. So we'll have those as 2 separate videos. But Kyle Trask is the next guy I want to talk about. And he's a guy who, that was my very first ever scouting report right there, Kyle Trask. And this was back when I used to look at highlight tapes rather than just every single throw. This is obviously the highlight tapes versus like 20 minutes a game, right? Like it's about like 7 minutes offense, 7 minutes defense if you average it out. It's something where I got a vibe from Kyle Trask. Like, oh no, like he looked really good. And the more I watch Kyle Pitts, it's like he does have those great balls. We talk about Sam Ellinger having those like beautiful balls. He had some perfect ass passes. He had some really good ropes in there. But I realized something with his mechanics, and this is something I actually got from TDN's website. So I guess we're like doing free advertising for TDN by doing this. But like they said, he never put weight into his front foot. And I realized that it's like this dude has a mechanics problem because his arm strength is pretty garbo. But it's like, oh, it makes sense. It's like if he doesn't have the good mechanics to add in his leg power, of course he's not going to throw that well. Like, so it's another thing where it's like, do you think he can actually change that up? But then you see some stupid mistakes where he will throw a slant that is obviously not open that gets picked off and taken back to the house against LSU. And it's like, what are you doing? Some like head scratching plays like that automatically kick a dude out of the first round besides Justin Fields. Besides Justin Fields, when you do stupid stuff, that'll get you kicked out of the first round easily for me. And that was something that really that struck me with Kyle Trask. But I think he's just kind of a okay guy. I think Marcus said he's very Nick Foles-esque, and it's perfect. I think because he gets hot and cold.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. He gets hot and cold.
I think when we were talking about like Trask and a Mac Jones, we were both kind of in the same realm of like an Alex Smith, Kirk Cousins, Nick Foles, that type of quarterback. Mm-hmm. Well, back when Alex Smith was in Kansas City and not with Washington.
Yeah.
Or say, just those 3 guys were pretty much just like dead on for what Kyle Trask is. You just have hot and cold moments where sometimes you're like, whoa, where did that come from? And then you're just like, what the hell are you doing?
Exactly. And it doesn't span over a drive. It spans over a game. You'll see Kyle Trask take over a game. Alabama versus Florida. Like that was down to the wire. That was the closest game Alabama played the entire year was against Florida. And like that's against like Florida's defense, which isn't the best too. Is like he turned it on and he played really well. And that's a great idea for him to be a good backup, to be able to come in and potentially be starter worthy until you need someone to swap back in with him. So the idea of like the Eagles quarterback rotation would have been great if they had 2 guys who are hot and cold. That's all I'm saying.
I do want to say something about the Eagles, though.
Oh.
So if I am correct, I think it's either the new offensive coordinator or the new quarterback coach for the Eagles
Florida
was Florida's offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm. Quarterback coach. The offensive coordinator is Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sirianni's the head coach.
You exactly. That was my bet. That's my bet.
My thing is a guy who's an Eagles fan that writes for us, Alex Keelar. He's not if the Eagles take Kyle Trask, he's not going to be very happy for what he says. But I could see it just because it's just like you're taking a chance on someone, like you took a chance on Jalen Hurts, and look what that's kind of turned into.
I could see it. In the 3rd round. I could easily like early 3rd. I hate all of the Eagles fans who are listening, which there will probably be none because we haven't had enough publicity yet. But the Eagles fans listening, because I think the new OC or the old OC of Florida, new quarterbacks coach for the Eagles, I think they're trying to train him to become the new offensive coordinator. Like that's the whole entire thing. And if they get Kyle Pitts, they might get Kyle Trask as well to eventually replace Jalen Hurts as the quarterback. How crazy! That'd be
just weird to me. Just turning Philadelphia into Florida. That's just it's so Eagles to do right now with how much they're just oh
yeah. So obviously, that's definitely something that's a sneaky fit for him. Honestly, I think that I wouldn't be too pissed if I were an Eagles fan if they got him in the 3rd. 2nd round, absolutely not. I'd be weeping. Atrocious. But 3rd round, it's where you take a shot on somebody. Yeah. You know, it's okay. I mean, obviously, if there's a guy like Jamin Davis on the board, that's probably a better fit because I don't think they got to keep everybody.
Davis.
Huh?
Jimmy Davis.
Jamin, the linebacker at Kentucky.
Oh.
Jimmy Davis.
I thought you said Jimmy. I was like, what?
Yeah. Okay, so going out of the quarterbacks that everybody knows pretty much, we got Davis Mills, someone who probably not many people know. Has, I think, 11 starts on his career. 11. Number 1 pocket passer in high school, but of course, who the hell cares about high school ratings? Like, I mean, you can watch I think his name's like Highlight Heaven or something like that, or like high school. Yeah. He does the video of like the top 10 high school recruits, and like barely any of them are ever great. But Davis Mills against Washington, when I did my scouting reports on Keith Taylor, Elijah Molden, go check those out. He showed up. I was like, whoa, this guy knows what he's doing. But of course, looking at PFF, because I have their premium package, he didn't perform as well during the other games. And to me, what that means is this guy's worth taking because we've seen what he can do. We can definitely see what he can do. But the problem is he hasn't done it extremely consistently. That being said, he didn't score under 60, I don't believe, in any of the games. So he's been consistently good enough, but he's had one great game. And to me, that's great. With that little playing experience, that's wonderful. That, to me, projects very well. I have him comped to Jared Goff, and that's because I think Jared Goff can be very hot and cold as well. And I think that you'll see Goff be like mediocre, and then he'll just step it up. So I'm going to let your take on him go off, but I mean, I'm kind of a fan of the potential of this guy.
We have him in the same spot. 1 through 7 for us is all in the same spots. Again, I haven't done too much tape study on him. I watched some bits and pieces, and from what you've told me and other draft-related content creators, he's one of those players that you can take a shot on in the 5th through 7th rounds, and you're just like, oh, he's a developmental. Maybe you practice squad him in the first year. Maybe he's a 3rd-string candidate, but he can maybe develop into a starting quarterback in the right scheme.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the dude's been sitting, and he's like, what? Is he a redshirt senior now? No, he's just a senior. I mean, he could have just
Senior Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, wait, was he at the Senior Bowl?
He didn't.
Oh, yeah, he didn't attend it, right?
No.
Yeah.
I don't even think he got invited.
You didn't even get invited. That's ridiculous, dude. If you're inviting Ian Book, you better invite Davis Mills, man. Like, that's a big mistake on the Reese's Senior Bowl committee right there, because that's something that people were probably very intrigued. It's like, what does this guy play with, like, having this few starts? Maybe they thought maybe he's not seasoned enough for us to actually want him here. But, I mean, there's the potential sky high on Davis Mills. I think it is. I think that he will come in as a 3rd stringer day 1. I think a team like the Colts could take him in like the 3rd, maybe 4th round. I know Eason's a project, but it's like still Mills is an entirely different animal than Eason. He's a loose cannon. Mills is going to be a more solid guy who, if you want to put him in, he could probably start for quite a few games and do pretty well. That's my thought.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about loose cannon with he's literally like a Kyle Trask, Trey Lance, any of those guys.
Yeah.
Just wherever he wants to and doesn't really care where the fuck it goes. So
yeah. So speaking of someone who's a bit more safe, but does have these same exact moments, it's Kellen Mond. I think you have him at 10. I have him at 10.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, the reason I put him at 8 is because I've seen first round flashes from him. But the problem is they're offsetted by a very consistent, undrafted vibe to him. Like the only reason I actually still keep him here, besides the flashes though, is the fact he is mobile. So you can use him if his passing game breaks down in an effective enough way as a runner to where you do keep the defense on their toes. I just think it's a higher floor guy. I comp him to Jacoby Brissett in that manner. It's like you're not going to get jack out of him. If you can probably get the most value by telling him, dude, just check down every time and then run. So if you're able to do that, I think he can be a solid enough starter. But he's not gonna amount to anything. Did you see I think it's Charles Sims putting him as a number 4 quarterback in the class?
Yeah, it was. Didn't he have like Mac Jones as 3 too, and then Justin Fields as 5, Trey Lance as 6. Like that's a lot different than a lot of the other guys that we talk to. But the thing is we get after a lot of the guys that don't have the same opinions as us. And if you look at Chris Sims' track record, it's actually pretty damn good.
It is. I thought he was low on Herbert. I thought he
had Mahomes as like this next generational talent. He had Trubisky low. It's pretty good. He had Dwayne Haskins as number 3 quarterback that year when a lot of us had him as QB2.
I didn't have him as QB2. I think I had him as QB4 because I knew him personally. I know Dwayne Haskins, second personally. I'm really good friends with his nutritionist who says he's a complete asswipe. But I absolutely hated Dwayne Haskins from the beginning. Now he's on my Steelers. But yeah, Kellen Mond is going to be somebody. It honestly depends on the scheme. If they use him properly, if they use him like a Tyler Huntley, like the Ravens could, like where he can sit and develop and then work into that type of scheme, a Ravens type of scheme, that'd be great. Of course, the Ravens got Tyler Huntley, but it's going to be something where maybe Cowboys are a great destination for him. Honestly, like that is a good backup.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially with them losing Andy Dalton.
Yeah, they could definitely use him as like a cheap version of Dak Prescott if they want to. So next, I have Felipe Franks. I believe you have him also at number 9.
Yes.
So Felipe, I've just seen some really good flashes from him. Again, there's been a lot of issues with him ever since high school. He went to LSU. He was supposed to go to LSU, then transferred to Florida, and lost that battle to Kyle Trask after time. Like he's shown that he could be a good quarterback, and that's why I have him as a pretty good potential grade. But he needs to sit down and just take a chill pill. Even this year against Arkansas was pretty damn competitive. You saw them. They put up some fights. Their defense was pretty good. They were pretty good. Definitely not something that we should shy away from. But, I mean, you went from Florida to Arkansas, homie. I don't know.
For LSU, like, what happens if Burrow isn't there and that's instead Felipe Franks?
Yep, I know. And then Joe Burrow's stuck on the depth chart of Ohio State. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah.
That just, oh my goodness.
Like how much does that change everything if Franks just works out?
I know. There's not really much more we can really talk about Felipe Franks unless you want to. You want to talk about him more?
I liked what I saw from him at the Senior Bowl against, there wasn't really I guess you could say Mac Jones and Kyle Trask were the top quarterbacks of the Senior Bowl, but both didn't even play in the actual game, and Jones got hurt, and Trask almost hurt the whole entire week, so he didn't even practice. Yeah. So you had guys like a Kellen Mond, Felipe Franks, Jamie Newman, any of those guys, and Felipe Franks was the best one of the 6 to me.
I agree. Felipe Franks looked really good in the Senior Bowl. Forgot about that too. Next I got Jamie Newman here. At your 8th spot, you have Slingin' Sam Ellinger. We'll talk about him in a minute. But I have Jamie Newman here just because people love him so much. I don't like him at all, but he is pretty accurate on the checkdowns. That's all I got to say. If he works as a checkdown machine, I have him comped to Tyler Huntley, where it's like Tyler Huntley didn't do jack. He can't do jack if he doesn't want to check down, and he has some good enough legs, but that's pretty much it.
He was just – I didn't like what I saw at the Senior Bowl. He took so many sacks where he just needed to throw the ball away, and he just didn't look like he had the pocket awareness at all.
Yeah. If we're going to be honest, in the first 2 days, this is probably where I draw the line. Everybody else is the day 3 picks.
Oh, yeah.
And
unless you have a team that fits Davis Mills so perfectly, then I don't see him going until day 3.
where do you think Davis Mills could actually fit? We're actually like backtracking here. I have him on Tennessee, man. He worked really good with Tannehill.
I like Tennessee. I could see, I mean, he's going to be a backup, maybe a potential like starting option. I guess you could really go with if Carolina doesn't take anyone too early, if they really want to, if they get stuck with starting Bridgewater, then I could see that. Maybe a New Orleans, maybe.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who's staying on that roster. You don't know if Winston's staying. You don't look at what they've kind of dug themselves into with the whole Taysom Hill situation.
Definitely agree with that. Yeah, that would be a good option for them. I actually have Kyle Trask going to the Saints in the 3rd, but if the Eagles just go balls to the wall, then you never know what the hell is going to happen. Apparently, the Steelers like Trask as well. I mean, I think honestly they could probably change. Like the Steelers are pretty good at developing quarterbacks to be something better than what they are.
They try to make them into starters, and you kind of see how that's kind of worked out.
Yeah, I mean they get wins, but they don't look like starters. So it's like, what do you get? But honestly, I think that after this, I wouldn't draft really any of these guys.
I'd take a shot on Franks.
Really? I mean, Franks is a guy who I'd probably take a 5th round shot on, maybe a 6th. But it's like after that, I'm not too comfy with most of these guys. Ellinger has had those flashes, I guess.
Ellinger is just going to be a career backup that's going to stay in the league somewhat, kind of like Chase Daniel has, and just make money and not really do much. Just sit there and be a veteran insurance option pretty much at the next stage in his career.
Yeah. You know what sucks? I wanted Cole McDonald out of Hawaii to stay in the league. I thought that was a great thing that by the Titans to take a shot on him.
There was, who was it? I can't remember his name.
Which one?
He got drafted by Cincy or Tennessee. I can't remember his name.
Are you talking about Ryan Finley?
No, it's...
Which draft?
He went to Memphis, I think.
He went to Memphis? Oh, are you talking about Memphis? Are you talking about Brady White? Brady White's still here.
No, I can't remember who it was. I just mentioned him the other day. Logan Woodside.
Oh my God, Logan Woodside. Yes, he was on the Titans.
Yeah, I actually did we did a fantasy football piece on like developmental backup quarterbacks, like who you think would be like the next big thing.
Yeah.
A lot of the other guys were doing Stidham, Winston because he was a backup last year, and then I was like, oh, Logan Woodside because why not?
I mean, yeah.
Now he was in the XFL, so that didn't really work out.
Yeah, but going on, I'm going to talk about my number 11 guy. I don't know where you would have Shane Buechele here.
That's around the same range, yeah.
Yeah, Shane Buechele is just your standard backup for his entire career, going to be able to step in and not lose you a game. Maybe not win you a game, but not lose you a game. Definitely has made SMU into a really good and a very competitive team. You know, we have a garbage defense and our offense is just cooking. So, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Shane Buechele, but again, projecting to the next level, you're not going to be able to go up against Houston defenses all the time. And like, obviously Houston and Tulsa are probably 2 of the best defenses we face besides Cincinnati. But we pretty much almost lost against both of those teams, you know. So we definitely don't have the best wide receiver core, but Shane makes them look really good. No disrespect to my buddy Rashee Rice, who is quite a talented young guy. He can definitely develop and be pretty solid in 2 years when he comes out. But I think he's just solid.
I agree. He looked good when I watched him.
Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing special. There's nothing to rave about. He's not going to be perfect for the NFL, but he's going to be great as a backup. That's all I can say. And then finally, your number 8 guy, my 12, Sam Ellinger, whatever you want to call him. Sling and Sam, we both agree he's going to be a career backup. He has the mobility to be interestingly effective. He's just a little too inconsistent. That's my problem with him. I don't even know if he's going to make an NFL roster, if we're going to be 100% honest, just because of the fact that he is just so erratic. He is so erratic that it's like, I don't think teams even want to take a shot on that. It's like, I don't know.
One thing you'll notice in this class is you have like the top 2 guys you can really put into any scheme. Then anyone after that, you kind of have to be like, do you really want him in your scheme? Even like a Fields, you kind of need him in an Atlanta scheme where you can sit for a year. Mm-hmm. Lance, you could Carolina, maybe New England, but again, New England doesn't have any weapons.
And they have to re-sign their entire line.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Yeah, but all these, most of these guys, these top two are definitely the only real scheme dependent ones, independent ones.
Scheme independent. There you go.
Huh? Yeah, scheme independent. Honestly, I think Kellen Mond might be scheme independent.
Yeah.
Like that might be the only other guy in the entire draft that's scheme independent. But yeah, Sam Ellinger is just, I think he's just a little too erratic. Any more talk about Sling and Sam?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover.
Yeah, we're just gonna quickly fly through the rest of these guys. Brady White was a guy who I actually had a second round grade on before I looked at his age. He's just definitely a guy who has pretty good ball placement, but he just doesn't have the arm to make it effectively consistent in the NFL. He's definitely gonna be a great backup. I honestly think the Saints should draft him in the 7th round or something. Definitely, it's a guy who will be a nice security option until you get somebody who actually matters. So get your wide receiver 2, get this instead of getting Kyle Trask. I think that getting Brady White in the 7th is a lot better value than Kyle Trask in the late second. Because if we believe the Eagles could snag him in the 3rd, then oof. But Brady White definitely he's been very consistent until this last year. This last year he took a bit of a dip. I will give him that. He did have Antonio Gibson and Kenny Gainwell disappear. That might be a big issue, but I think that he's okay. It's like we're getting into UDFA territory.
He's a practice squad guy his first year.
Yeah. Ian Book, again, similar thing. I've heard from Notre Dame fans that they absolutely hate this guy. They think that this guy is just complete garbage. I saw in the Senior Bowl, he literally threw an in when the guy was actually running an out or something like that. I think it might have been, was it Demetric Felton that just toasted a dude and Ian Book just threw it completely wrong way? Yeah. So it was just like, it's a big problem. If you can't do it in one-on-ones, you're not going to be able to do it in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Peyton Ramsey was my type of guy right here. This is a guy who I thought possibly putting higher. I saw some games with Northwestern. Peyton Ramsey looked like he made some high-end NFL throws. Problem again, consistency. This is why we have guys like this who come into the league and get cut. It's just they probably won't make it. KJ Costello, same thing. It's like he looked really good at Stanford and he just fell off the face of the earth. Like, you want to say anything?
There were there's some sites that do like their next few mock drafts early in the season. Mm-hmm. I saw a couple of Costello as like a 1st round, 2nd round guy. Mm-hmm. And it's just it's really interesting to see like at the beginning of the year where you see some players and then towards the end they just either just plummet or just skyrocket off the board.
Oh yeah. And I mean Costello, when his heights are really high, but I think Davis Mills blew him out of the water in terms of looking at the ceiling. So that's really why KJ Costello is falling, is because we saw what Davis Mills did without like any experience. So KJ Costello also dealt with a lot of injuries. And after his injuries, I remember this, like I remember he came back from an injury. That's when Davis Mills had his first starts. He came back and just looked completely horrible because PFF was like, dude, this guy could be like a 2nd round prospect for us. And they came back and just like was completely garbo. And they're like, damn, that injury just definitely, he needed more time. You want to say anything? I see your mouth like going like in there. I'm like, wait.
It does that sometimes. I've noticed that.
Yeah, I don't know if you're like silently saying something, wanting me to like talk, but yeah. Next, Zach Smith. I seen him do some good balls. That's it. I mean, do we really need to talk about too much about these guys?
No. I mentioned Zach Thomas earlier because a lot of people just like to throw his name out there as a quarterback in this class.
Yeah, I think Zach Smith is 3 times the player Zach Thomas is. And that's not saying much. That's like saying 0.3 is 3 times as good as 0.1. So, I mean, this is where like the people who actually even can potentially matter go. This is just like they're UDFA for sure. Yeah. So let us know what you guys think. Obviously, drop a comment saying, hey, this is our board. Yeah, definitely. I think that you guys who are watching, who have still continued to watch to this point, definitely should drop your own quarterback rankings. Just take screenshots, write it in the comment section. No one cares. Just do it because it's fun, and then argue, discuss, and then let us know what you think. Obviously, you never know. Sims might be right. Kellen Mond might be the 4th best quarterback in the class. He could be day 1. I think actually day 1, I have him above Trey Lance in like day 1 value. Like, just saying. I actually no. I think they are about the same. I have him at a 66 grade day 1.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's not really much more to talk about. So tune in next week, guys. It's going to be a fun one. We're probably going to be talking about running backs and tight ends or else wide receivers. We shall see, but always check in on Friday mornings, I believe at 9 a.m. and it will be up. We actually might be delayed to 5 p.m. now because of that whole issue, but Enjoy it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.